Federal Parliament resuming today for its final fortnight of sittings, but the government may have lost the support of a key crossbencher, Liberal Democrats New South Wales Senator David Leyonhjelm, in some significant ways because of the Liberals' ongoing legal action against the Liberal Democrats' party name. Senator Leyonhjelm is in our Parliament House studio. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So let me ask you, before we get to that stuff, about the Prime Minister's decision to increase the number of refugees it takes from Syria. Do you support that?
Yes, I do. I managed to convince then Minister for Immigration, Scott Morrison, last year to increase our refugee intake in exchange for my vote in support of temporary protection visas. But can I say it's not as simple as just taking more, and I learned quite a lot in the process of that negotiation with Minister Morrison. What I discovered was how expensive it is to bring in refugees. Our current intake, which we're now increasing from, I think, about 14,000 to 18,000 over the next few years, and I'm very pleased about that, is costing us about $1 billion. For us to take in more refugees from the Middle East would be expensive, and we've got to find the money somewhere. We're in a budget deficit. We're spending more money than we're bringing in, and it doesn't just grow on trees. My suggestion is we cut back on foreign aid. There's nothing wrong with humanitarian, short-term humanitarian aid, and in this case, obviously, some of it's needed. But a lot of foreign aid is wasted. It goes to rich people in poor countries, and diverting that foreign aid to supporting refugees, bringing refugees to Australia, I think would be good use of that money. It would help more people in a more productive way. The other way we have to think about these refugees is, do we allow them in permanently or temporarily? You would have to think that some of them might want to return to their countries when they settle down, on the assumption that eventually they will. What kind of refugees are more likely to want to return? The ones that are least likely to return, it seems to me, are the Christians. They're being driven out of the Middle East all over the place. There's a whole pattern of driving Christians out. So I suspect we're probably likely to end up with any refugees who are Christians permanently. They're likely to become Australians and stay here permanently. I don't know what the answer is in relation to the Muslims. Are they likely to want to return? You would think some of them might want to. Should we make them permanent Australians or give them temporary refuge until their countries settle down? It's not just a matter of open the doors and let more in. It's more nuanced than that.
Tell me about this legal action the Liberal Party is taking against your party for the confusingly similar names you have, the Liberal Democrats and the Liberals.
We argue that the Liberal Party doesn't own the word Liberal any more than the Labor Party owns the word Labor. Labor's got over the fact that the Democratic Labor Party has been in existence now for decades.
But it's not a copyright question, is it? The Act requires the Electoral Commission to consider matters of confusion, and the Liberal Party and the Liberal Democrat Party are potentially confusing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends how confusing you think is acceptable. There are people who are confused by the Christian Democrats because the word Democrats is the same as what used to be now the Australian Democrats. Democratic Labor Party and the Australian Labor Party both have Labor in their name. Most people accept all that. The Liberals, for some reason, seem to think they own the word Liberal. And
I think it's because you took a lot of their votes and they thought that people were trying to vote for them and they voted for you at the front of the Senate ticket.
We disagree with that. You'd have to argue that New South Wales voters are more easily confused than voters in other states.
Well, we have the Queensland Premier on that question next. No, tell me, Senator Leyonhjelm, I want to get to another matter. Your disallowance motion before the Senate regarding a ban on the import of a certain kind of shotgun. What is this? The Prime Minister made an announcement that the imports of shotguns with more than 5-round magazines, lever-action shotguns with more than 5 rounds, was to be temporarily banned pending a review of the National Firearms Agreement. And you're trying to get the Senate to overrule that ban?
When the regulation came out, the regulation had no time limit on it. It wasn't temporary at all. I've learnt over the years there's nothing as permanent as a temporary ban. So I moved to disallow it.
Why do you want this powerful shotgun in Australia?
It's not powerful. It's no different from other shotguns that are brought into Australia. They've been available for 130 years. There's nothing special about this. This is an attempt to vilify Australia's 800,000 licensed firearm owners by categorising their guns as dangerous and therefore them as criminals in waiting. It's unacceptable.
But that's an argument against any gun control, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but these authoritarian types who don't like guns, and we call them hoplophobes, it's a psychological condition, they don't attack guns all at once. They take, like slicing pieces off a salami, they go after them one by one.
Senator Leyonhjelm, I appreciate your time this morning.
My pleasure.
He's the Liberal Democrats Senator from New South Wales. And on RN Breakfast,